Hi, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Gen Tales, where genealogy meets history.
Hi, today I want to talk a little bit about lineage societies. A few people I've talked to in the past have been confused in one way or the other about these, and when I was with DAR, I did resign last year, um, trying to explain to new members. As treasurer, I ran into people who didn't realize there were annual dues. And a lot of the societies aren't upfront about how much it costs because that would be a deterrent. Um, uh, it also means that a lot of people who are members are either subsidized by somebody or have enough money themselves to spend $100 or more a year on a membership. And I know that sounds a little judgmental, but it's just the truth of it. A lot of the members of these societies have a lot of time to volunteer or a lot of money to give, and that's just the way they're set up. It's the way anything really operates at the nonprofit level. I've been a nonprofit board that was a completely different area, had nothing to do with genealogy or education or history. It was a community rescue for cats, and uh, you've got various ways that nonprofits at that level work. And lineage societies are nonprofits for the most part. There's probably exceptions to that. Um, you've got memberships to other things that aren't really lineage determined. That are you've got like ancestry and everything like that people lump in, but that's completely different. That's not a lineage based or a society. It's membership means something different for that. So I want to talk a little bit about lineage societies and what they are, how they work, so that people aren't taken by surprise or don't feel rejected. You've got the Mayflower Society, Daughters of American Revolution, Colonial Dames. There's a Huguenot Society. There's different founders of society. There's the Confederate Daughters. Also. I don't know if they're still active. I'll have to look that up. Um, this is very off the cuff. This is just my experience, my what I've had to explain to people when I was treasurer for over a decade. And a lot of this is shaped on my experience in DAR and in trying to join the Mayflower Society. So, because these are nonprofits, they usually have a mission statement, and the DAR's is patriotism, historic preservation, and education. And they have scholarships and they do grants, and they're very, very large. They've been around for a long time. They're very well established in these programs, but that means they also have a very established hierarchy. And the National Society is the one that really gets the money and has the buildings and does all the PR and everything. And then you have the state organizations that are the arms, and then within them are chapters, and then in bigger areas you've got districts. And so it's a hierarchy, pyramid, if you will. But the chapters are the on the ground people. They are the actual members, the ones who go out into their communities and clean gravestones and give awards to students and tell teachers about scholarship opportunities and submit all of the paperwork up the line to let National do what they do. There's also members at large who only deal with National, but they get no representation at the Continental Congress, so they don't vote on anything. And when I do my I start the asides with the pins, I'll go through all my DAR stuff that may have actually been last week. I'm still timing everything out. But you'll see, I was a delegate at one point, so I've been through that at the state level. I've never been to the Continental Congress in DC. It's just couldn't get there. So there's a hierarchy. So members are part of a chapter, and the chapter executive board, who are voted on by their members, decide who can join their chapter. And there's, for the most part, you'd think they'd want anybody that can do their lineage to come in, but there's some that are very we had a chapter in another state deny one of our members when she moved because they wanted just their cousins, as I was told by somebody else. So you run into that. I'm sure most lineage societies are similar. Now, Sons of the American Revolution don't have chapters so much, especially in smaller states. New Hampshire, they have just the state. You probably find that Mayflower Society, I'm not quite sure how they're divided up. I couldn't get past the information phase where I had to pay them to tell me that things weren't correct. Now, so that's where I want to talk about unexpected fees and dues. And so, lineage societies, their names, you join them based on your lineage. And they all have different requirements for how you prove that lineage. Mayflower Society, you have to be able to connect with vital records to their silver book. It's not in the silver book. They completely dismissed me. They worked a little bit with one of my cousins, but they didn't believe that it was another marriage, and so it's not in the silver book. You're not. And I've written about that before. A pain to P-A-I-N-E, because that's the family. Now, I may have been wrong about the lineage, but I paid $40 to be told, oh, that's wrong, can't join. There's a fee, usually. Now, DAR doesn't charge a fee until you submit the chapters work for free on it for the most part, or they're supposed to. Some want the app fee up front, but after 2 years, if National can't verify it, they give it back to you. Well, they give you back your dues. They keep the application fee. That's $75 when I left. They're probably all very much the same like that. So you have to prove your lineage. You have to get all the documentation, unless somebody else has already proven that line. It takes a lot of work. And like I said, there's volunteers, because these are nonprofits, volunteer members that do all of this to help get new members, because then those new members pay annual dues, and those annual dues are what funded the hierarchy that creates the society. That's just how that works. Other nonprofits just take donations from anybody. You don't have to pay to volunteer. Lineage societies, you basically pay to volunteer, but you also are looking for other volunteers who aren't members. I highly encourage you, if you are interested in a lineage society, like, oh, I descend from this person, I can join this. Talk to somebody that's a part of them. How much does it cost per year? Not just how much to join. How much per year? How much to join? And how strict are they with lineage proof? What does it take to go through to prove a lineage? Requirements have changed. In my time at DAR, with 15 years, the requirements changed. Now they require you, or when I left last year, they required you had to prove birth, marriage, and death of everybody in the lineage, which just isn't possible. How do you get new members? So yeah. So if you're, like I said, if you're looking to join Lineage Society, it's kind of neat to say, oh yeah, I have this certificate to prove the lineage I found, and I understand that being a perk, but you're gonna be then on the hook. I mean, you don't have to be. You can just join and then resign, but they don't like that, especially when somebody put in all that work just to get you a certificate. So really think through what your goals are with joining lineage societies, which ones you feel fit your own stance on how we should be involved in our communities. Like I said, DAR does a lot of scholarships and grants, and if you're looking for a historic preservation grant, check out dar.org. I believe it's November, a scholarship portal opens up and high school and college students can apply. I used to review applications for their medical scholarship. It is a very robust process, the review. If we come across a name we know, we're supposed to let them know immediately so they can move it to somebody else. So you're supposed to self-recuse if you happen to know. So I mean, and they have multiple, each application seen by more than one reviewer, so they can make sure there's nothing hinky about the review it gets. If it's widely different, they're going to figure out why. You don't have to be a member to use the scholarship portal, and you don't have to be a member to apply for grants, but you do need to be most of them are for nonprofits. So if you're an individual, go find like a historical society that's registered nonprofit to work with, and then you have to be sponsored. A lot of them require you to be sponsored by a local DIR chapter. So you yourself don't have to be members, but getting good with your local DIR chapter, and maybe they can help you get some grants for historic preservation. Um, and signage, they love hitting up markers and signs. And I actually helped. They were redoing the database or making sure everything was digitized and in a searchable database for all the markers DIR has done, and like cemetery markers and everything. And I helped enter some. They did a quick scan of all the cards, and then they have us manually entering in to make sure everything was accurate and filled in, because the cards were all in different formats. So it's just easier to have volunteers do it. And there's a lot of markers. And all the Revolutionary graves and stuff, and they've marked more over the years. So, and Sons of the American Revolution the ones I know do a lot of the reenactments, and they do a lot of parades, and they also do cemetery markings, and they're involved in a lot of veterans work, and then Mayflower Society, of course, is in the celebrating certain milestones in American history. I'm sure all the I don't remember, Colonial Dames had. I'm trying to remember because I knew somebody. They all have their things, their goals, their missions. Find which ones align with you. If you have somebody who connects you to one, it's most likely connected to more than one. So you probably have options, or you can just volunteer with them and be a part of it without actually having the lineage. I think that's very important. We get so stuck on, well, these are my ancestors and I can claim this. I think we need to be more open to, it doesn't matter who your ancestors are. We have these shared goals in the community of preserving history and educating people about where we all come from, and history itself. And I think it's very important, even without a proven lineage, and that you shouldn't have to pay hundreds of dollars to say, this is important to me. So lineage societies can be fun. They can be good social outings. I really enjoyed the various lunches, and we did celebrations for students, and we did awards and community service awards, and we did parades, and we did some fun game. I actually made a flag fact bingo game, and that was a lot of fun with these little prizes. So it can be fun if you're looking for a social organization that also celebrates your lineage and lets you do what you want in the community. But I also understand that the cost of it isn't for everyone. And so just things you need to consider before joining. And you do need to have your paperwork in a row, your ducks in a row, get all your paperwork around.